Well, how do you out-Trump the irrational? How do you respond to someone who says, when you've made a response, well, you're having a hard night, or you can't hear me? He was doing a little bit, but then he got probably $1 billion worth of free advertising. And so he's on every channel all the time, and people have gone gaga over something. And really, I've likened it to the emperor has no clothes. He's saying things that are completely vapid, things that are completely vulgar, and completely a non sequitur. People are going to have second thoughts. There's no way. I do have a great deal of respect for the people in this country. There's no way the voters in the country will nominate him. I guess my fear for the country is that there are countries that do succumb to celebrity. Italy had a celebrity. You know, there are other countries that have had and elected celebrities. Often in the developing world, celebrities and very wealthy people will win. And I worry about the country because I don't believe that there's any sincerity to what the message is. And even when the message is sincere, it's so garbled that now here we have this great opponent of immigration who's going to ship everybody home, but then he says things like, oh yeah, but then I'm going to let them all back in. And it's like, really? I think by pointing out that what he's saying makes no sense, that it's ludicrous, and that an immigration plan that's going to round up 11 million people, send them to Mexico, and then bring them back is a plan. Even the people who think they might like him, when they hear what his boneheaded plan is, you think they might have second thought.
His donation to the Moran Eye Center helped to finance the trip that you were on and I came to last year in Guatemala. Did you ask for his help this year? He
donated again to this trip as well.
Can you tell us how much?
You know, I don't know the exact figures because none of it comes to me. It goes to the university, but I'm pretty sure he did. I'm actually not positive. I'm pretty sure he did. I think if you have an open border, it's a problem. Any kind of beacon that you have. So if you have a beacon of any kind of forgiveness, and some of them can be realistic, but birthright citizenship is sort of a forgiveness. You break a law, you come here and have a child, but then we say, well, that's fine. The child's here now. The child is a citizen. I think if you have an open border, that's a mistake. Because what happens is millions and millions of people are coming. So you're for ending
birthright citizenship?
What I would do is I would try to control the border, and then probably it's going to be very difficult to change a law or something that's been going on for 100 years. But what I would say is if you have an open border, you can't have birthright citizenship. If you secure your border and the only people who come in are legal, then it becomes a non-issue because really the people who come here and have children have come here legally. And so it's not really so much a problem.
Is that really answering the question, though?
Sure it is. So if under today's circumstance where you have an open border, I think you shouldn't have birthright
So right
citizenship.
Now, as the border stands, you would end birthright citizenship?
Yeah, but it's a matter of how you fix it.
The emails?
And the emails as well, because they go to judgment. If you want to be commander-in-chief, you have to, I think, have great wisdom and show good judgment because you're in charge of the nuclear arsenal. We don't want someone who isn't obeying the law and who is reckless with national security. She also fired ambassadors who did exactly what she did. So it's hypocrisy, it's poor judgment, but it's also, hey, I'm a Clinton, I'm above the law. They've made $100 million selling their influence in the last few years. There are people who think there's one law for the rest of us little people and there's a different law for the Clintons. And this is a real problem. Her numbers, I mean, talk about numbers that are plummeting. She is in danger, and there is a real sense that she might not be the nominee because she is so weighed down by this baggage.
When you get back to the United States after having done these surgery, what's the first thing you need to do as a presidential candidate to give yourself a real chance of winning the nomination?
I think I do exactly the same thing I've been doing. And a lot of things people don't realize about this race is it's state by state. So we are organizing the colleges. We have, I think, over 250 college campuses organized. We are organized. And all of those kids don't show up in polls. They're on cell phones. Nobody's calling them or they're not answering.
Are you about where you thought you'd be right now?
I think no one can ever predict where you are. You know, I was amazed where I was a year ago, and I'm kind of amazed where I am today. So
amazed
it's just,
in a good way or a bad way?
Well, you know, I think the polls aren't as good as they were a year ago, but there are many more people in the race, and races change over time.
You've been very vocal for a long time about defunding Planned Parenthood, but so many millions of women depend on them for basic health care. Let's put abortions aside. If you defund Planned Parenthood, where do those women go for health care?
I'm not sure I accept the premise of the question because actually I don't think women do depend on Planned Parenthood. We have an enormous budget for community health centers, which do everything that Planned Parenthood does except for abortion. We have 9,000 community health centers that are funded by $5 billion in U.S. taxpayer money, and there's like about 700 Planned Parenthood. In my state, there's 135 community health centers and 2 Planned Parenthood.